What's up, YouTube? Did you know that 85% of global financial leaders believe their country will launch a CBDC within the next 4 years? If you're a crypto investor, conspiracy theorist, skeptic, or someone feeling a bit uneasy about CBDCs, or you want to know what a CBDC is, keep listening. This episode is to address the current sentiment around CBDCs. There's been a buzz about the New World Order, whispers that digital currency is a tool for control, predictions of the dollar and the economy crashing, and theories about a global money system agenda. I understand a lot of you don't want what's coming, which is the digital economy. Or maybe some of you don't care, or maybe you don't even know. Not to get conspiratorial here, but this stuff is real, and it's happening right now as I'm speaking, and you're sitting there listening. It's not the end of the world, guys, I promise. I don't think it's going to be as bad as some of you make it out to be. Physical money is still widely used and accepted. However, some developed countries have experienced a drop in its use, and that trend accelerated during the pandemic. I wouldn't be surprised if another pandemic kicked off this year or sometime later, and physical currency would gradually stop being used again. Pandemics do tend to happen every 4 years, especially during election years. Just saying. For those of you who don't know what a CBDC is, it stands for Central Bank Digital Currencies, and they are a form of digital currency that's issued by a country's central bank. They're similar to cryptocurrencies, except that their value is fixed by that central bank and is equivalent to that country's fiat currency. Just think of it as a stablecoin. Many countries are already developing CBDCs, and some have even already implemented them. With all this talk about moving to digital money, it's good to know what it means for everyone. The introduction of evolution of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology have created further interest in cashless societies and digital currencies, right? The main goal of CBDCs is to provide businesses and consumers with privacy, transferability, convenience, accessibility, and financial security. CBDCs would reduce the risk associated with using cryptocurrencies in their current form because crypto is highly volatile and their value is always constantly fluctuating. This volatility would cause severe financial stress in many households and affect the overall stability of the economy. CBDCs, backed by a government and controlled by a central bank, would give households, consumers, and businesses a secure means of exchanging digital currency. So there's two types of CBDCs, wholesale and retail. Financial institutions are the primary users of wholesale CBDCs, whereas consumers and businesses use retail. Wholesale CBDCs are similar to holding reserves in a central bank. They let banks and big institutions stash their money or pay each other. The central bank can then use these digital accounts to control stuff like how much money is around and set interest rates by playing with rules like reserve requirements or interest on the money in these accounts. Retail CBDCs are the kind of digital money regular people like you and me can use. They're backed by the government. There's no worry about private companies going broke and taking our money down with them. Now, within retail CBDCs, there are two types of them. Token-based ones work with private and public keys or a mix of both. This means you can do transactions anonymously. Account-based ones need you to prove who you are with some digital ID before you can use your account. So it's like showing your ID at the digital bank. And here's the cool part. CBDCs are like the key to unlocking the full potential of turning real-world stuff into digital tokens. It's like making everything digital and super easy to move around without relying on big, fancy banks. But hold on a second. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. There's challenges like more control in one place, data privacy worries, and potential issues with reversing tricky transactions. So while CBDCs are opening up a whole new world, there's still some fine print to read. Now, for all you skeptics out there listening, There's nothing you can do to stop what's coming. Might as well take advantage of it. The way I see it, you can either sit around and complain about it, or you can make the necessary moves to set you and your family up for the future. I understand everyone's concern, especially over privacy. However, we should take advantage of the coming system to create wealth for ourselves and our families, rather than sitting on the sidelines and complaining. There's nothing any of us can do, not you, not me, anyone, to stop it from happening. It is going to happen. You might as well make the moves to secure your future in the coming system. CBDCs are going to happen. And what do you think is going to happen when you hold a digital asset that is responsible for bridging them and is essentially the blood vessel of the new financial system? You're not going to be poor, I can tell you that. You won't have to rely on universal basic income. They're gonna need XRP. So invest in XRP and other utility-based digital assets. CBDCs are going to play a huge role for XRP since it's a bridge currency and will be the core asset for every other currency out there. The digital economy was always going to happen eventually, whether you like it or not. I'm not a fan of it. I know a lot of people aren't, but guys, it's coming, it's happening. But think about it this way. As XRP holders, you want this to happen. You want CBDCs to be a thing and to be fully implemented. It's what XRP was designed to do essentially, which is to facilitate digital currency transactions. By investing in the right assets, you and your family can potentially avoid universal basic income and control from our government. So think about that as well. In case some of you don't know or are wondering, universal basic income, or UBI, is like a paycheck that everyone gets no matter what. It's a regular amount of money that the government gives to every eligible person just for being alive and part of the community. So imagine getting some cash every month, regardless of whether you're working or not. Kind of like a stimulus check. The idea behind UBI is to make sure everyone has enough to cover basic needs like food and shelter, creating a kind of financial safety net for everyone in society. While this might sound good, it might not be. Because think about it. Think about how the government can use this as a form of control. What if you get laid off or fired, lose your job somehow? They'll give you enough to live above the poverty line. Sure, if you have a job, then it's just extra income, cool, but not everyone is always guaranteed to be employed, right? It's not really a thing yet, but don't think for 1 second it can't or won't happen in the future. I'm not the only one talking about this. You can look everything up I say. But here's where it gets really interesting. Tokenization. CBDCs running on the XRP ledger can tokenize assets, turning real-world stuff like real estate, art, or even your morning coffee into digital tokens. It's like a digital makeover for assets, making them easier to trade and transfer. This opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Now moving on to the private and public ledger for CBDCs. Some of you are probably already familiar. Ripple launched a private ledger as a CBDC platform last May of 2023. It's powered from the XRP ledger. However, it's separate from the public ledger. The private ledger doesn't need XRP to operate, and I think this made a lot of people wonder, so let me explain. The private ledger can use XRP, but it doesn't because the CBDCs don't need it, since the CBDCs will be the only digital asset within the private ledger. When they want to transact to other currencies or assets off-chain, as in outside of the private ledger, that's when they'll use XRP because it's a neutral bridging asset. There's no point for XRP to be on the private ledger because where are they going to transact? The CBDCs are already on the private ledger. XRP will only be used to transfer value to other networks to and from the private ledger. I hope this makes sense. So don't worry, XRP is still going to be used as it was meant to be, which is a bridging mechanism. if they want to convert a certain CBDC to another CBDC, how do you think they're going to do it? XRP is pretty much the core and the bridge between the gaps, literally and metaphorically, for all of Ripple's products, networks, and services. That's their main technology. If you're wondering why they would use a private ledger instead of a public ledger, well, just think about it. If you're a central bank, that's something you would want, right? A private environment where you control your asset and access to the network is restricted to only authorized participants. It's logical. Privacy is the main game with private ledgers. Participants can do transactions without broadcasting every detail to the world. So this makes it suitable for situations where confidentiality is the top priority. And remember guys, 99% of crypto is going to go away. And when all this new stuff comes into play, such as CBDCs, what cryptos do you think are going to still be around? Maybe the ones that were designed to optimize and transfer these tokens, these assets? Stay away from meme coins, guys. Stay away from anything that lacks utility. I'm a very big, firm believer in utility-based digital assets, and those should be the only types of cryptos that you should be investing in anyway. Also, please don't forget to keep your cryptos offline and in a hardware wallet where it's safe. Okay, think ahead for the future. Do some research, plan ahead, and invest accordingly to prepare yourself. Don't be left behind. That's all for now, folks. Thank you for tuning in.